quotation marks. He grew up in a conservative household, but those things that are traditionally conservative don't include dating or seeing someone who's transgender. The Crucial Combo Podcast. You could be anywhere if you're on this channel. Thank you for tuning in. To the Crucial Combo Podcast. Okay,
so
why don't we get to what you're trying to say, Ian? Why don't we get to it? What you trying to say? I think you're trying to say, because I was going to ask this question anyway. Who do y'all think killed Charlie Kirk? Let's just get to it.
We can't go there, bro.
Do you think is it left or right? Who do you think is it extreme left or extreme right? Let's get to it. What do y'all think?
I think y'all ain't. This is not gonna be popular. I watch too much 24 with Jack Bauer, so I'm always a conspiracy theorist. Let me name that. My view is this. This is my view. Tony Briscoe's views do not reflect Message Monday and does not reflect my man Osu's show. Charlie Kirk, and I hate to keep saying his name because I agree with Ian. He's becoming so polarized now. Like, people are looking at this man as the start of the new Christian revival. It's like, my goodness, people, please stop. No. There's no way something like this could not have been pulled off without multiple aids and ways of assistance. I said that about January 6th. We've got verified proof that it resurfaced about Malcolm X. We've got proof about Dr. Martin Luther King. We know about Medgar Evers. Like, again, y'all started off with it. Assassinations have been happening in America for a very long time. There's somebody always behind it. So do I think who took him out? I don't know if it was left or right. I just know it was an agent or agencies of evil.
So, Tony, are you calling Tyler Robinson a Lee Harvey Oswald? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not calling him a Lee Harvey Oswald. What I'm saying is it takes multiple folks to get to somebody so polarizing. I mean, yeah, one shot, man. But let me say this. I heard, I don't know for a fact, somebody verified. I heard that Charlie Kirk was offered an opportunity within the Trump administration because of his work and his support. The dude galvanized young white men and women in ways nobody had done, including the vice president of these United States. So I'm going to fast forward to 2028. At the rate Charlie Kirk was going, he was the next poster child for president of these United States running for office in 2028. That is a vehement threat to the power structure that is playing a political game. Now, that's just my assumptions. I have no validated proof. I've not done any research to trace all the money trail and see who's connected to who. But I'm going to say this. When Timothy McVeigh blew up Oklahoma federal building, they executed that dude faster than a whole lot of people in United States history. You know why? Because of the conspiracy behind it. You don't pull off anything that major without funding and assistance. He was silent. He was silenced very quick.
Okay.
And I'm banking. There is a woman somewhere, and I don't know if she's black or I don't know if she's white, but women seem to have a tip on the intelligence world when stuff is jumping off. A woman tried to tell them Osama bin Laden was.
You know why? You want to know why that is, Tony? Because y'all are easily led by your other head. And when we get y'all in bed, y'all start talking out of the head on your neck. after the head somewhere
No,
else
but I'm
is
no,
satisfied. That's
I'm not
how
even.
we know that he can
No,
cook
no, no,
He
no.
went
because
I'm
somewhere
not.
y'all get
totally
to
different.
talking.
Yeah, I'm not
You
talking
know,
about in that regard. I'm just talking about women who work in the intelligence world have insight into a whole lot. So all I'm saying is I'm banking that there's a woman somewhere who knows how to turn the key to that door. And with this thing happening, we'll never know who she is.
Oh, can I answer your question?
Sure.
wait, I'm
Who
sorry.
done it? Who done it?
So please don't throw no stones at me. Don't stone me on this platform. Now, you said your question was, who do I think?
Yeah,
Right?
who do you think
I
did it?
do.
Do you think is an extreme leftist or extreme righty?
Okay, so the reason why I said don't throw any stones at me is because I wouldn't be surprised if it was Donald Trump that got somebody killed him. Only because I don't know if you guys heard of him, of Charlie Kirk. He made a statement about how Trump should speak on Epstein, because remember he hasn't really spoke about that. So I think now I wouldn't be surprised.
You
So
know
you
what?
say
I've heard that actually, LaFonda. I've actually heard people say that this was a ruse to deflect from the whole Epstein situation.
Yeah.
So
Lord,
I've heard people say that his murder was just
this
a
is like
distraction.
Hmm.
Alex
Honestly,
Alex Jones.
if I could answer the question, it wouldn't surprise me whoever it was. I figure it could be somebody extremely left who just was pissed off, didn't like him, and just was through. It could be somebody extremely right who was like, okay, we could use him to further our agenda, and now the stuff that he was talking about is now even more to the forefront because now he's gone into martyrdom, and people are now elevating him to a status that he does not deserve to be on. It could be some other faction that you know some sort of vigilante group that maybe feels like, hey, you know what, he's just not good for society, we need to get rid of him. Or they could be making some other point that we haven't even thought of. So whoever
Mhm.
did it,
We
I don't, nothing surprises me anymore.
Oh, Sue,
we gonna
there's
kick it
Well,
back to we gonna kick
well,
it over
I'll
kick
answer.
it over to Faith real quick.
Let me
Faith
answer.
FBA,
Yeah,
where you at?
I'm here.
What
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let the missus. I'm sorry, missus. Go ahead, do your thing.
who do you think did it? Who done
I mean, okay, so we got, what was, written on the bullets about, fascism, this fascist, and the dinner that he had with his family. His family came out and said there was a dinner that they all had together, and he was talking real negative talk about Charlie Kirk. So I'm just kind of putting things together on just piecing everything together based on what's the information that's already out there, everything that he had written on the bullets, his hatred for Charlie Kirk, the fact that he was living with his partner, who was a transgender woman, and the talk of his parents saying he's really changed in his personality, for a couple of years. Like he went to college and he's changed. Like he's not the Charlie Kirk that, we raised. So I feel like he may have gone into
Charlie
college,
Kirk.
got radicalized. I feel like
I don't think he went to college.
well, he got a scholarship for
He went
a
for
college in, I think it was
No,
Utah
he-
University or something like that. He didn't finish college. I believe he started college but didn't complete it. He went to college for
I,
like a
I,
year or so.
he
I think
went
she
for a
meant to
year, and
mention
now
the code.
well, at the time he was actually studying to be an electrical engineer, or be an electrician. He was an he's an electrical apprenticeship.
Who we talking about? Charlie Kirk or
We're
his
talking
killer?
Charlie Kirk. Oh
we're
no, not
talking
Charlie
about
Kirk.
Did
His
you?
killer. Sorry, Robinson.
I thought she
Yes,
mentioned
my bad.
Robinson. Yeah.
My bad. I'm sorry, y'all. So, yeah, all of the evidence to me points to like some kind of far left group may have radicalized him and took him out.
well.
How many far
Took
left
Charlie
groups
Kirk
All
out.
right. Well,
I'm gonna get mine in real quick, and then I'm a back up. Again, I know
wait.
you
Well,
want to
let
talk.
me answer that. I didn't answer it yet, but you answer first. I want to wait to hear yours.
Oh, mine is real simple. So I'm going to bet. I'm going to bet it's he. So here's the thing. It hasn't been substantiated yet per se, but I think that this is a kid who grew up in a very conservative household. It is a fact, as far as the things I've been seeing, that he was living in a 3-bedroom apartment with a man who was transitioning to be a woman. I think that although he grew up in a conservative household, I think he had a relationship or some type of at least friendship with the man who's trying to turn into a woman, and his views changed. And I think that, as Faith said, I think that his views changed, and I think that I don't know if it's a group,
Hello,
but I
you
think
okay?
I think oh I think his views changed, and I think the left is not going to want to hold this L or hold that branding. And I don't blame it on the Democrats or the left. I think that the media, if this is substantiated per se, they're going to try to throw it on the left. But I think his views change. Now, could he be the other theory is that he is like with Nick Fuentes and the whole Groiper group, and he's further right because Nick Fuentes and the Groipers were further right than um, Charlie Kirk's group, and they had come to some of Charlie Kirk's events, and they're a little bit further right as far as their views. But the idea that a further right conservative killed another conservative, to me, is probably unlikely. I think it's very likely that this kid had some conflicting views and got to a point where he wanted to kill Kirk based on those things. There's also a video that I had. This is a neighbor of Tyler Robinson, who's the killer. A neighbor talked about the fact that he had spotted Tyler Robinson, and the man who's transitioning. His name is Lance Twig. That's the guy who's the trans woman. So Tyler Robinson and Lance Twig apparently were. He says he saw them kissing a week or so before the shooting, and he had saw them before. So if all
But
of that,
what does that have
think
to
about
do with him? How do you go from that to committing murder, though? I
you
mean,
said what?
how do you go from how do you go from that to committing murder? I feel like there's
Well,
just
here's the
something
thing.
else
He has
at
no prior.
play.
He's 22, so he has no prior history of violence or conviction. So it's not something that you would necessarily see coming. But again, a lot of shooters and killers don't have a record of this thing. You don't know their ideology. And keep in mind, he's a 22-year-old. So 22-year-olds, their brain hasn't fully developed. They haven't fully found their place in the world, and people can change and flip out. So, so I guess there's 3 ways to go. We could claim there's a bigger government conspiracy, Lee Harvey Oswald, JFK thing going on, or he was flipped hard left, or he's hard right. In my opinion, the hard right thing doesn't quite make sense to me personally.
Well, why not though?
Um,
Did you just have the dude who shot up the Catholic Church who was transgender, who was very racist, very anti-Semitic, and he just shot up a church full of kids? See, that's the thing that's dangerous. They only think the left can be extreme, and that's not the case, and that's not the data, bro. Like you can be gay and racist, and transgender is racist. All you just
well,
wanted to do is I'm just saying, it's like
No,
that.
go
That's
ahead,
the
please. Go
thing.
ahead.
That's
Go
the
ahead.
thing. It's like, I don't know if y'all have heard of this sister called April Chapman. Now, April Chapman is
Yeah.
like the black woman Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She has nothing good to say about Democrats. She says
Sure.
anybody who votes for Democrats are demons and are going to hell. Those are
Yeah.
words out of a woman who says she's a Christian's mouth. So you just said a whole demographic of voters are going to hell because
Yeah.
they vote Democratic, which is an
Sure.
anti-Christian statement, in my opinion. But the first thing she came out and said when Charlie Kirk got killed was the Democrats and the left, with no verifiable proof. People
Sure.
act like you can't be racist and Republican. You can't be gay and Republican. You know how many gay people support Donald Trump?
Mhm.
His Secretary of Treasury is gay, married to a man, and he's a billionaire, and they're raising 2 boys. See,
Well,
the
well,
elite.
so you
Go ahead.
you make a great. I'm gonna let you rock. I'm just gonna reply real quick. You make a great point. So let me clarify. I don't mean that he became left, like legitimately left and liberal. What I mean by that is that okay, I could say okay, well, he was a conservative. Here's the thing. I'm saying quotation marks. He grew up in a conservative household, but those things that are traditionally conservative don't include dating or seeing someone who's transgender, right? So I'm saying that whether we want to label him or not, I'm not blaming it on the left. I'm saying that his possibly my theory is that his lifestyle conflicted with who he was supposed to be, and that could have set him off as far as killing. So we could call him conservative if we want to. I don't care one way or another. But I think his lifestyle may have conflicted with who he was supposed to be, and that could be the motive for how he went about he went.
How was killing Charlie Kirk gonna fix any of that though?
Well, I'm just saying that for clarity, I'm saying that this is a theory that Charlie Kirk represented something that he's supposed to be, because he, obviously being conservative, following Charlie Kirk is not pro-trans. He spoke about it many times.
Oh,
He's
absolutely.
against it. So I'm saying that if this kid is in a relationship with a guy who turned trans, who is trans, this could be a reason for him to be like, you know what, I'm rebelling against that
Yeah, but
faction.
assassinating somebody though, bro, because of that disagreement, that seems so extreme to me. But again, let's go back to the party of values. In 3 months, you've had 3 Republicans arrested. You had a Republican in Florida who was arrested for sending nude pics to a 13-year-old girl here on Snapchat, getting ready to meet with her. This is the party of value. This is the
Well,
party.
I'm not defending the Republicans. I'm
Right.
just saying that I'm saying that and again, I'm not trying to label him a liberal. I'm just saying that
You're not. You're not. But the
yes,
people who have a voice, and
sure,
President Trump is pushing this
sure.
leftist Democratic agenda, blaming it on them. And the only thing I have to say to that is, from marches peacefully, we've been beaten brutally.
But
These,
let's be honest with each other though. Now, let's say it came out and he was part of the Groyper, Nick Fuentes. The left is going to be like, see, they're right. Da, 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 da. So they're going to do it either way. They're going to
no,
label him either
it
way.
won't matter. It won't matter because the folks who are following this administration, and I know I'll let you get in after this. In the folks who are following this MAGA cult, they don't believe anything the left says anymore. You got people on the left who move to the right because they don't believe anything the left says anymore. You got a representative in Florida who just came out and said she's leaving the Democratic Party because it's lost its way. There is nothing the Democratic Party can do at this point to recover. I'm reading a book right now, The Rise and Fall of Democrats, How and Why They Will Continue Losing Elections by Edward DeZosa. The Democrats have lost their way, period. And people are freaking fed up. And you know why they're losing? They keep using the same firms to run the same campaigns, and they're getting with the same talking points, and they're getting absolutely nowhere. And at the end of the day, nobody wants to keep voting for a loser. I'm gonna be quiet.
All right, I'm going to try to
I get a
stay
little
on
passionate, y'all. Sorry.
No,
stay on point
great.
with regards to
I'm glad I'm frozen.
who do we think is well, I'm going to start out with the question who benefits the most and who benefits the least. When you have a person who's now considered a martyr and what his ideology and everything else was, the people that benefit from that, especially if a lot of people are going to be moving towards conservatism and moving to become a Republican as a result of that and things of that nature, it's most definitely not anybody on the left that's benefiting. The other thing I just want to point out is to the listeners is that Charlie Kirk is the product of the society. And just as well as the shooter is also a product of the society, the same sickened society. And what we have to realize is that, um, you know, what I see, what's happening as the falling of an empire to a certain, and in particular, an empire that has always been an ideal empire for white men in particular. That what's happening, and this is a very, this particular case, white on white terrorism. Charlie Kirk was a victim of white male terrorism. Is that what we have? Is that Charlie Kirk, what he's been amplifying, you know, from the top of his lungs, is and just as recent chants as at a Charlie Kirk vigil, they were like something to uh, white
White
men
men
fight
fight back.
back,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is something that they feel they are losing. They are losing their country. They're
Mm-hmm.
losing this. They're losing that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what Charlie Kirk spoke to those white men, wholeheartedly. And this white man who shot him also feels, in the same token, that he's losing his country, et cetera, so on, which I find very interesting.
And why shoot Charlie?
So, right, right, Charlie Kirk shooter also in the same manner feels in
What
the
I'm saying, why
same,
shoot him?
huh?
I'm sorry. I was just asking you if that's the case. Then why? What is your theory? Why would he shoot him?
Just because they both feel that they're losing, and they're both blaming, which I find very interesting. They're blaming different people for themselves losing. Charlie Kirk, for example, is blaming immigrants, black people, this, that, and the other. He's blaming everybody on why the white man's losing. At least the working white man, working class white men are losing
Mm-hmm.
their particular status. And the other white man, I guess, is talking about fascism and all these other things. And
But aren't they on the same team?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Aren't they on the same team? I'm trying to understand the rationale of why he would shoot Charlie Kirk.
Sometimes, as Malcolm X spoke about, chickens come home to roost. Sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes they eating their own young, right? But this is which is why I find this situation fascinating. I believe this shooter is going to be Lee Harvey Oswald. I don't think he's
Okay.
making it to trial.
Okay.
I
Do
don't
you
think
think
he's
he did
making
it?
it to trial. I don't think he's making it to trial. If he makes it to trial, I'll be surprised. And if he does make it to trial, it'll be similar to what Tony said. It'll be a quick, fast, and a hurry,
Well, just to be clear, are
just like
you saying
this.
you don't think he did it?
I will say this. Much like Lee Harvey Oswald, if he did do it, couldn't be the only one that was a part of the situation to pull that off. There was a lot of distraction leading up to the shooting.
Mm.
There was a lot of things going on. I mean, don't forget they arrested somebody a couple, prior to getting to him.
Mm-hmm.
There, I don't know what to say other than it's
I'm
just
just asking.
strange. It's all of this is strange to me, and I try to be a logical man. That they have this
You know,
man that they arrest on site for whatever reason, distracted while they were focused on him. The other guy got away. The guy dismantles his gun, puts it away, backpack gone, out of here, and decides later on, let me take it out of the backpack, put it back together. I'm just confused about a lot of things. It just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of benefit, and also but also to answer the question on who took him out potentially. The Gray Zone did a very good article recently that I read prior to coming on. The Gray Zone articulated a few things. One, Charlie Kirk's changing a position over time with regards to Gaza in particular.
Okay,
Um,
I was funny you said that because I was going to ask you about that too because
right. His
people have also speculated that could it be Israel behind it because he's
right.
changed position. But yeah,
Also, it's been noted. It's been stated several times by what's his name that used to be on white, the number one white male conservative guy on TV, and now he has his own thing now. I can't think of his name.
Bill O'Reilly,
Huh?
Tucker
No,
Carlson.
Carlson, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens,
Hmm.
and quite a few people mentioned the fact that Charlie Kirk, for example, was opposed to Trump attacking Iran and
Right,
spoke out against that, attacking Iran on behalf of Israel. Also, he started changing his viewpoint on Gaza,
right,
and he also, according to the article, refused money from Netanyahu
right. I heard
to
about
take a position which he knew would lead to him taking up an APAC friendly position with regards to what's going on in Israel. And he refused his money. So there's a lot of, and with that being said, like me, much like Tony, conspiracy theorists are just people with a lot of good points sometimes, and folks just and it's only a conspiracy theory because some folks got dead, and we can't really, but Netanyahu, not long after Charlie Kirk's passing, went on to read something without a teleprompter, some kind of proof that he was actually reading a letter allegedly from Charlie Kirk, kind of co-signing and being, one of his boys and his friends. When a lot of people says, and if you saw Candace Owens' take on Charlie Kirk, she was alluding to the fact that she was annoyed that some people are taking a position with regards to Charlie Kirk, a position that she knows is not true. She knows he wasn't signing on the, co-signing with Netanyahu. There's a lot of people in Israel that's not co-signing with Netanyahu. They feel he's the most right-wing administration representative that they had.
so so
Period.
so so where we're the at with that is that so basically
It's definitely not anybody on the left, because there's no benefit to anybody on the left to
Zero.
eliminate Charlie Kirk, to have him elevated to darn Jesus status. There's no
gotcha.
benefit on the left
Zero.
whatsoever.
Zero benefit. And it would
Okay,
be a death sentence. Hence why this thing jumps off. And why are HBCUs being threatened?
Yo, yeah, Tony, I'm gonna cut you over again. Yo, that part. Immediately after, 6 HBCUs were being threatened as a result of that, and this is another example of white male fragility and the
so
denial of.
wait a minute. Before you go there, Ian, question. I just want to ask a question. I don't want to cut you off. I want to ask a question because you guys are saying a lot, and I think it's dope. But I want you to say what you say, just so you're
Say it with
saying.
my chest.
Yeah, so you're saying, if I hear you correctly, you're saying that it was
I'm
either
saying even when a white man kills a white man, black people pay the penalty for it. That's what I'm
okay.
saying.
I saw the
Hold
same situation. I will say it's the same. The same reaction is the same reaction that they had in Rosewood, and when
on.
the white man committed the crime, and they
I
blamed
feel you.
everybody black, and they went and wanted to attack everybody
I I
black.
I feel you. I think that to be honest with you, I'm aware of what happened with HBCUs. I think that there are fringes of people who make threats all the time. I don't think, and I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think anything is going to happen to anybody black. I think black people are completely irrelevant. I think the people who made the threats on the HBCU just use it as an opportune time to talk some shit. What I want to understand is that, because again, I think black people are irrelevant in this issue. But
Who's white man fighting back to?
again,
Who's the white man
again,
fight back
I
chant?
feel you.
Who's that directed towards?
I don't take it seriously.
To other
I
white
don't. I
men?
don't. I don't take it seriously for a couple of reasons. I
I'm not saying we're taking it seriously, but who are they?
no, I
These are mediocre, struggling in most
I
cases, white
understand.
men, misguided, etc., so on, and
I don't read it.
they're taking this position. It's
I
like a
got you,
cult.
but I
They're
don't
taking
read
this
it.
position. Who are
I
they
don't read
chanting
into
to?
it. I don't read into it because it happens and I see it. I don't read into it because I need to see more. So I need to see something happen. I need to understand, what are they going to do? Are you coming to a black community? What are you doing? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, again, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I acknowledge it happened. My thing is that I don't think anything is going to happen. I think that the um the killer, and I'm interested in your theories, because the theory is going to be that, okay, somebody somebody is either funding this guy, right? So the idea that, okay, so somebody on the right has chosen this guy to be the patsy, so Charlie could be the sacrificial lamb, is possible, but I think it's also a little far fetched in that sense, because the benefit always goes towards the martyr, right? Anybody who's ever been murdered, Martin Luther King being murdered only helped the cause. It didn't throw things backwards. Um, Same thing with Malcolm X. I mean, a lot of black Americans actually, and the people tend to have revisionist history with Malcolm X. A lot of black Americans felt Malcolm X was too radical during his prime. It was after he was assassinated, people changed. Some people, I'm not saying all, but people changed their position. So anyone being martyred is always going to push forward their cause, as far as I've ever seen. I never seen it go backwards, right? But and again, I'm not saying you're wrong, but the idea that he was martyred by the right, it's extreme. It's extreme. But I'm
You
open.
never know. People are strange, though. People are strange. You never know. At the end of the day, why people do some of the
Well,
things that they
let me
do.
say why.
A lot of
Let me
people
say
are
what.
saying the same thing.
Let me say why I think it's far fetched.
Who was he prior to the assassination?
Going. Okay. The reason why I think it's far fetched is very simple. Only because, honestly, I think that conservatives or the right has been gaining more ground because of things that Tony said earlier. I think to the middle of the road voter, the conservatives are gaining more ground in a generic sense, because they're saying things that sound logical, and the Democrats and the left seem illogical. And I think that the right is already gaining ground. Even if they don't have people flipping red, like, Chicago flips red. I interviewed the girl who started it last week. Even if you don't have people totally flipping Republican, you have people disillusioned with the left. So I don't really think the right needed to do anything to galvanize more people or to make the conservative movement stronger. Now, I'm not speaking to racist, but I'm speaking more to conservatives, the movement of conservative ideals and thoughts. I think America's leaning that way. And again, I'm not including the racist, but I am including the idea of what's conservative and liberal. I think people were already kind of at least giving that way a look, right? So I don't know. I do agree with y'all that there's a benefit for the conservatives and or race white nationalists if Kirk is murdered, but I don't think they needed it. So I'm open to all theories, but I don't know if they really needed it to the point where they're gonna somebody on the far right's gonna kill somebody on the far right for what? They don't. The benefit really is not that great in my personal opinion because they were already winning.
So there's a
That's
book.
why I think it's
There's
possible but not probable.
there's a
Well,
book.
and I will just, the shooter's motivation, which we didn't touch on. I'm trying to even figure out what his motivation may have been, and I guess they haven't. They will at some point state whatever that. I don't know if he had a man.
Well, you're
But
saying
Ian, what is any shooter's motivation? Really?
Well, I don't know, but I don't even know if even if his motivation is so much relevant at this point because he accomplished. It helped. It benefited the right side. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is. I don't even know if it's even
Facts.
relevant at this point. His
Facts.
motivation because
Yeah, that's true.
I think
That's
I
true.
think
It
at the end
almost
of the
doesn't even
day,
matter because, like you said,
yeah,
it
I
benefits
think
the right. So
it benefits the right, and I do
well, the
believe.
motive does matter. The motive absolutely matters.
Well. You know what? That kind of reminds me of a meme when you say the motive matters. It matters that when it comes to the white male shooter. If it's a black male shooter, is they're labeled as this thing. If it's an Arab Muslim shooter, it's labeled another thing. If it's somebody else shooter, labeled another thing. When it's a white male shooter, we need to dive into his mental state. What was his? Did he have a trouble? I mean, we're always doing that bullshit.
Oh no, 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 no,
We're not. We
Oh,
don't do that,
oh yeah, there's a
no,
bro.
book.
no.
If it's black,
We are
We
if
do
he
do that,
we.
but you pivoting. You pivoting the point.
check it out, check it
What
out. There's a
his
book
motive
called
matters based
Bellfire.
on what we talking about. Come on now. Come
There's a
on.
It was the video game. He was playing violent video games and watching certain movies. That's what happened.
He
Damn
gangster
it,
was a
we need
gamer.
to ban
and dude,
TikTok.
it was
We need to
gangster
ban
rap.
TikTok. Damn it, we need to ban TikTok and all that. That's the shit that
He was
happened.
a gamer. That's true.
That's the problem.
Gangster rap made him do it. I
That's
know.
what happened. And gangster rap.
So
He
look,
was listening to gangster rap on the way.
so look, there's a book called Bellfire. All right, it's a very old book. That's your queen.
What's the name of it?
It's called Bellfire. Not a very successful author. This was, I think, his number one selling book ever. But in Bellfire, you had a nefarious party involved. And it's been over 20, 30 years since I've read it. But I want to give you the synopsis. They had a terrorist come in who killed a cop, but left traces for a gang. Then they killed a gang member, left traces. No. Then they killed an innocent victim and made it look like the police did it. Then they killed opposing gang members to make it look like the gangs did it. So there was this all-out war in South Central LA. The Bellfire is a signal to say phase 1 is complete, launch phase 2, launch phase 3. And this dude ends up getting away in a submarine, going back to his country while they're preparing for whatever. Now, I'm not like the governor of Utah who was hoping that it would be somebody else. Now, look, I'm not going to judge the governor of Utah for that statement because when the NFL dude shot up the business office, I was like, Lord, please don't let it be a brother. And it was a brother. So I get it. I'm not mad at it. Like, everybody's been like, oh, he wanted it to be somebody black. I don't know who he wanted it to be. He just didn't want it to be nobody from Utah.
Right.
So I ain't tripping on that. When we had to deal with John, the sniper dude, we was like, please don't let that sniper be a brother. And the dude was, so I'm not mad at the governor of Utah, right? I can't be mad at him for that. I get it. I
that's so
understand.
rare. We barely ever in history. How many times has an assassin
Not a
been
lot.
black?
Not a lot.
Almost never.
But
Almost never. There hasn't been of any like high other than Malcolm X of any like high powered political figure. The assassins were never black. So and that's the thing that kills me when they start blaming us. Like I saw a video some guy posted on I think it was Instagram. He angry talking about, oh, you blacks, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Now it's on. He was so angry that Charlie Kirk was killed, and he blamed it on all of us. I'm like, is this guy is he
Yeah,
lost
but you
touch with
can't you can't
reality?
you can't be
Because
caring every you can't be caring about every idiot who got something to say, and that's why
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
I got a daughter.
but
I got a DCU. I care about every idiot who got something to say.
no, I feel that, I feel that, you know what I'm
Let
saying?
me ask you this
I
though.
get, I dig it,
Yeah,
I can
no,
dig
I
that.
know
But
what you're
twin,
saying. I'm just,
let me
a
ask
little
you
No, no,
this
light
though.
headed here. That's
no,
all.
I get it though. I get it though, because if my kids was in college at HBCU, I would have been worried too at a threat. And
But
you have a
twin,
good point. It's easy to not.
let me ask you this though. Did anybody think nobody had any idea that that grocery store, what was it, in Albany, New York, that was gonna get full of old folk, old black people, was gonna get shot up
Yeah, yeah,
by some angry dude who was
I agree.
mad at blacks and decided to take it out on some, a, an unsuspecting target. And this is the reason why we should take statements seriously, because more and more of these random mass attacks have been happening. Cars driving through crowds of people. Like that protest march. What was it in? Was it in Virginia? I think, where that girl got killed. I mean, we have a
Oh,
lot
North
of
Carolina, right?
North Carolina. I think right. I think
The
that's what it
stabbing
was.
of the, yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah, but the
Yes,
Yeah,
very
but
fine
yes,
people, the very
exactly.
fine
but
people the president called were
so
protesting.
but
Right.
I feel that. But if we rewind about a week and a half, we go back to Labor Day weekend. There was 3 mass shootings in Chicago. No, there was 58 people shot in 3 days in Chicago. Right. So stuff happens.
But
Don't
what
get
was
me
that
wrong.
about, though? What was that about?
What do you
And,
mean?
and,
What
Were,
was it about?
they
but that's
trying
the
to
thing too.
make some political message or some statement? I think
No, I'm not.
we do
I'm not
definitely need to
saying that.
separate the reason for these crimes occurring. I'm simply talking about these crimes that are made to make some sort of racial statement,
I'm with you.
and
I'm
that
with
we
you.
should take that type of thing seriously.
I'm not.
I
I'm not
worry about
saying
my
that.
kids at school or the grocery store,
I'm not saying that we
as we
shouldn't.
should.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't. What I'm saying is that the vast majority of the killings and the shootings that's happening for black people ain't coming from them groups. I mean, the numbers are extremely low. I'm not saying they're not taken seriously, but those numbers are extremely low. And I'm saying that you know, the idea that here's the thing. Just going back to I think the dude start getting some boy booty and change his mind. And I mean, look, I think he start changing his. I think he changed his mind. Here's the thing. I don't think he was. I don't
That
think he
ain't
was.
got nothing
I
to
don't. I don't.
do.
No, listen. I don't think that he hated. Well, actually, he did hate Charlie Kirk because he talked about hating Charlie Kirk to his parents. But I think that Charlie Kirk represented something that he wanted. He wanted to make a statement on. So Charlie Kirk was the youngest popular figure, like we all know. And I think Tony made a great point, or maybe it was Ian, about him possibly running for president in 2028. I never thought about that. He
Mhm.
definitely could have. I
Oh,
learned more about
absolutely.
him, Kirk, after he died, and how big he was to be so young. And a lot of times when you're able to galvanize the young people, it means a
Yes.
lot. So I think that it's more than likely that this kid, unless he's a Lee Harvey Oswald and there's a bigger picture, that's totally possible. But I think if it was him, I think it's likely that his lifestyle, the things he had going on, conflicted with where he's at now.
I
And
don't know.
let's not
Hold
pretend
on,
that
Ian.
there
Hold on
aren't
a second.
let's
Ian,
not
hold on.
pretend that there aren't Republican there haven't been Republican politicians and others who have been found in the beds with same sex people. We know
Sure,
those things happen.
Period.
sure.
So I doubt very seriously that that would be the trigger for
I
him.
mean, you can be gay and
But
Republican. I agree
but
with you.
I would just
Yes,
say that um, you know at the end of the day, even if much like as somebody mentioned, Yaya mentioned this shooter being black against Malcolm X. Yeah, but they knew it. They knew it was going to happen prior to it happening. The other folks supported that. So the person that pulled the trigger, might have had his tan, but the people that allowed that trigger to be pulled weren't. So in this particular case, I don't know. I'm not. Let's go with this. The lone gunman theory, which is what everybody's doing with this particular case right now. It was very well. It was. I don't know. It
Well,
looked. It
200
looked.
yards is not far. Like, 200 yards, according to most people, is they're saying that, he may have just had a lucky shot.
Pause.
Well,
No,
no.
but you
I
know
mean,
what?
he
This
took the shot and he was done. He took the shot and he was done. He didn't take a second shot. He didn't take a third
That
shot.
was
I
a
mean,
bold
He
he
took
hit
shot.
on the
one
first
shot
Yeah.
he hit on the first shot.
and he was
Right.
done. And he
He
got
didn't
away.
he didn't need to shoot again.
He got away, and he would have stayed, gotten away if his family didn't turn him in.
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with the price of bread. I mean, and at the end of the day, they turned him in. It doesn't
His
take away
family
from what.
turned him in. That's the only reason why he got caught.
Now, Chicago can learn from that.
Yeah, hello, and but
You want to talk about something? Talk about that.
but what are your other? Because I know we're already 2 hours plus in.
Well,
What are the other topics on
that's
this
I mean,
Charlie character that we want to talk about? Because and to your point, that was a full bar. What you said earlier, that he is the Nipsey Hussle of politics, of white male, ideologies and things of that nature. Because a lot of people didn't hear about him until he is more popular now than he was. People are now
yeah,
listening to a lot of his podcasts, a
right.
lot more of his this, that, and the other because of that.
But this is what's
Turning
going to
Point
happen.
USA is going to go launch even more now.
It
Yeah,
will, but also what you're going to have, because I talked to 3 people today who had never heard of Charlie Kirk at all.
right.
And I think what you're going to see, and I'm going to bring up the religious aspect here, when people are martyring this, I've seen Christians, black and white. One of my sisters who was on my show last year, she went live crying over this dude, crying, bawling her eyes out. What's going to happen is when they try to memorialize this dude as the next greatest thing for Christianity since Billy Graham, people are going to start saying, how could you all say this dude was a Christian when this was the rhetoric he was putting out? That's what's going to happen. And so now you have black people who've never heard of this dude at all are going to start looking up, okay, let me see who this guy was. And for black women, when they hear this dude say that black women didn't have the brain power and had to take the slot of a white woman, do you think that's going to resonate well with black women? See, that's the danger when you say you are a Christian and that you love Jesus. Baby, they was loving Jesus when they was bucking black men through slavery. They were loving Jesus when they were raping our women. They were loving Jesus when they were selling our babies. When I learned in Ghana, the women church in El Amina, it was right above the priest's office,
Yep, I've been there in the slave castle. Yeah,
bruh.
yeah,
So
That's
they done a
we
lot
went
in
there.
the name of Jesus. And as people educate themselves on this dude, they're gonna be like, wait a minute, I thought y'all said this dude was a Christian. He said Martin Luther King was awful. He said the worst thing that happened to this country is the 1964 Civil Rights Act. This is the dude who they're painting as the prima donna of Christianity now. And when his wife says you're going to hear a battle cry that'll echo across the world, well, we know what's coming. And that's the danger, because now I've got 2 children who I'm going to raise in the framework of their dad. And it's going to be everything that's going to be anti-black. It's never going to be anti-white. It's always going to be anti-black. I don't care if there are Democrats on this side, because let's be real, white men who are Democrats are benefiting from the same privileges that white conservatives are getting right now in the Republican Party. And that's part of the disenfranchisement. But I'm just saying, as people educate themselves about this dude, it is going to force a hard look, because there's a major issue between black conservatives and black liberals and black Christians and white Christians. And none of
Both
us.
parties are anti-black.
And we also have Christians out there that are rejoicing that this guy was assassinated. Like, as a Christian, we should not rejoice in someone's death.
And we should not celebrate him as a
Jesus
martyr.
had Jesus had Jesus had compassion on everyone. He had compassion on every soul. So why are there people out there that who are calling themselves Christians, right, that are in that party as well, that are rejoicing?
First of all,
So
Jesus did not have compassion on every soul. Let's keep the gospel clear.
Jesus had compassion. Jesus loved everyone.
I
For
didn't say
God so
you
loved,
said
for
love and
God so,
compassion are two different
let's go to
things.
the scripture. Let's go to the scripture.
Let's go to
For
the money
God
changer.
so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son.
And
So
let's go
he
to the
had
money changer.
compassion for everyone.
I got
He loved
I got you.
everyone.
But what I'm
Y'all
saying
want to have
is,
a church battle.
We gonna
well,
we
no,
gonna
yeah,
we gonna get to scripture.
I'm gonna end that because I don't want to battle it. Me and LaFonda gonna talk after this, probably this
No,
weekend.
we're not gonna battle. It's not a battle.
Yeah.
I'm going based off of scripture.
Well,
And
Go ahead,
Well,
why,
LaFonda.
look, my
here's
thing is this: is that
here's the
what we
thing.
gotta.
I think that this is good though, because I think that my personal opinion is that you know black people in relation to Charlie Kirk, um I think again you just have to
I'm
listen.
baffled by some of us.
Yes.
Well,
I don't understand some of us. Some of us are so conditioned under this in this country. We've been conditioned in this anti-black society that we long to be in close
same.
proximity to whiteness. That we take every opportunity to get close so we can get a pat on the back or pat
I don't
and say, "Hey, that's good."
I don't think
I
so.
was just in a conversation with some. Matter of fact, I might have tagged you in a post. This guy
Hmm.
Brandon Marshall tagged
Yeah,
me, and I said, I'm down to have this conversation. We can, but he took offense, and this is a lot of the entitlement of white people in this country, in particular, entitled thinking that their heroes must also be our heroes. And if we don't adorn the same people that they do, it's blasphemy. He was offended, and he was offended that I don't hold Charlie Kirk in the same esteem as he does. And I'm like, it's never going to happen. But
here's the thing. I don't think
I
that.
would just say to the black folks out there, or any other not black folks, because it's wrong. We're not in this fight. This shit ain't ours. It was a white on white fucking crime. This shit ain't our shit. But
This
let
is
me just say that
Charlie Kirk. Go ahead. I'm
the
sorry.
the,
Go ahead.
the Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, was another anti-black white man who was an enemy to black people, in my opinion. But he had black friends. But and an enemy to your enemy is not your friend. So the person that shot him is not my friend either. He's not my friend because he didn't benefit our community in any capacity because he got rid of another anti-black voice or anything of that nature. He put him in a whole different stratosphere. And I'm just, you know, we you never for those out there who are we've gotten to a society we're so fragile we can't have civil discourse with people with different ideas and points of view, which is bothersome to me. And let me just tell those folks, silencing the person of the other side isn't a helpful strategy. Um, you don't silence the messenger. If you're in a battle, you don't silence the messenger. When like everybody knows the movie 300, and when the messenger came on for the Persians to talk, and then what's his name, Linus kicks him in
Is
that pit, says this
Sparta.
is Sparta. That wasn't the end of the war. The battle, they still had a battle they had to deal with. And we need to realize that the people, the Charlie Kirk was a creation of the system. And if your battle is against the system, Charlie Kirk was just a messenger from that system that it created. And getting rid of Charlie Kirk or silencing him definitely doesn't dismantle the system that created him.
I agree with you. Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, is not that serious in relation to black people. So for me, I don't think anybody should rejoice nor celebrate. But I think that for black people, we're 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 very sensitive to what we perceive to be anti-black. So I think that it's important, but I think we're more sensitive about that than we are sensitive to our internal views. And I'll say this, or our internal issues. I'm not negating um the discontent for him, but again, earlier when you said like Amanda Seals is radical, I don't think most black people are radical at all. I think, and I'm not talking about you personally. I think we may think we're radical or militant. I don't actually buy it. I think that most of us are too silent. We're not radical about any of our of we're not radical when it comes to any of our issues. We're only radical when we're talking about somebody who may feel one way or another. Charlie Kirk is inconsequential to black American life, in my personal opinion. Now, everybody's free to disagree,
I
but
agree.
he's inconsequential to
I agree with you.
Tom.
I agree with you.
He's inconsequential to black American life. So to me, I challenge, not y'all, but I challenge black people who like Amanda Seals, because I don't buy the radical. I don't buy that she's radical. I think that that's just a way of being like, I don't want to be labeled liberal. And I think if we're radical, so radicals, and I was telling my sisters yesterday, if we're radical, we would be radical about building our communities. If we're radical, we would be radical about um having low test scores. We'd be radical about having the highest STDs. We'd be radical about number one in out of wedlock births. We'd be radical about real
Mhm.
issues. So that's the thing.
That's a good point.
I think that because we don't deal with those issues, we're hypersensitive to anyone who doesn't like us. I think anti-blackness will always be a part of
Yeah,
life in
racism isn't
America.
going anywhere. I don't have to
Right.
give. I
It's
don't
not
have to
going
give it
anywhere.
attention because it's not going anywhere, right?
It's not
And
going
so
anywhere.
somebody told me, "Hey, this was 3 weeks ago at church. Yeah, I stopped listening to your show. I know you've been out the air for a while, but I stopped listening to it because you started talking about too many political things. I was
Yeah.
talking about things that are impacting our community, and honestly, this is the first presidential. This is the first federal election that I can really see us being impacted on a local level."
Mhm.
Before this election, now I was talking about local things that are happening in Chicago that people need to make moves on and galvanize on, because there are things that can be done. I think in my time, this is at least that I can directly see and feel with a personal hand stake in the game between K-12 and between higher ed. I am seeing such and nonprofit work. I am seeing such an impact. One of our contracts just got canceled because the company was receiving pressure from the federal government about its DEI initiatives.
Mm.
So they pulled it.
Mm.
That means we've got to try to find funding now for 79 to 85 students who this program was paying for, and now they not. And
Mhm.
they gave us 24 hours notice because they're being bullied by the federal government about their DEI initiatives. And so I'm feeling these things firsthand. So when people tell me, yeah, that's right, I'm black and I voted for Donald Trump because I'm tired of Democrats, but you don't see the full impact
Mm.
of conservatives in my circle vote on three things: being against gays, against abortion, and gays, abortion, and if there's another one, I can't think of the third one. Like, and for the majority of the part, this is what Christians base their vote on solely. They don't care about poor. They don't care about poor people, and there should be some things done. Like there's been federal waste in the government forever. All I'm saying is, with the amount of money we pour into other countries, we can solve all of our problems if we just don't donate for a year.
Mm.
We can balance our deficit in 6 months. If we don't donate, to any country for 1 year, we can balance our deficit. If we cut military spending for 6 months, that would just help balance the deficit. So there are things Doge could have done on a real federal level that could have minimized that. Many people don't know that the Biden administration had already started laying off NASA employees. They hit them with like 100 last October. But you know why you didn't hear about it? It's because he did it with dignity. And that's the biggest thing that we're missing in the Oval Office. But locally, man, we got so much stuff going on here. So yeah, Charlie Kirk, again, that dude is just a small pod. You want to put your eyes on people, you better watch dudes like Stephen Miller, who have a lot more to say about black people as a whole. But this is the issue with Democrats. When they were complaining about Project 25, I'm telling people, and I only got like 8 people listen to my podcast. We know that's cool, but I'm telling them 8, y'all share the podcast, because while they talking about Project 2025, where's the Democratic Project 2025? See, you can't be a party that's anti-Trump. You're going to lose every time. And that's what the Democratic Party has summed up to.
Mm-hmm.
But we talk about Democrats. Democrats don't fight fire with fire. Gavin Newsom is gaining attention even from right wingers now because they want to see a fight. And Governor Newsom is like, you want to knuckle up? Cool. Let's knuckle up. It's exciting, people. But Democrats, they play the party of, because liberal also means soft. When they go low, we go high. No, baby, this is politics. This ain't about high or low. It's about what are you going to do for the community and safeguard the country. Because I think it's highly wrong as a military veteran for you to let people come into this country, fight in our military, and then you deport them after they've done their service. There should be no conservative championing actions like that from this administration. But that's exactly what's happening. These guys and these women have given their lives to the United States of America. They played the game in hopes to get citizenship because they served this country faithfully. They were honorably discharged, and they're being swept up. And I guarantee you, for every one gang member or El Salvadorian gang member that the United States had a lot of hand in building, by the way, but we're not going to get into the history of that. For every one bad immigrant that is here, you've probably got 700 to 1,000 who are putting in work, who've put in $1.5 billion to this economy since 2010 by working and being in this country for 20 years. Now, when Barack Obama did his press conference years ago, he was called soft, he was called weak, and he's deported more immigrants than anybody in the history.
Well, yeah.
Before we go, I just want to, because I know people have been listening, and I made some strong statements against Charlie Kirk, and I want people to not conflate, as people typically do. I'm not advocating for his death or anything, but nor am I mourning for it. I would just say that my problem is the selective compassion that a lot of people have. They don't. Some of the same people that have all this compassion for Charlie Kirk had none for a lot of innocent unarmed black folks that were shot and gunned down. Don't have it for the Palestinians in Gaza. Don't have it for the Congolese in Dominican Republic of Congo. They don't have it for the people in Sudan. They don't have it for the Guatemalan people whose governments that we've fucked up in many ways and forced them to migrate, to our southern borders. We don't really care. We don't have that type.
Talking about white people,
huh?
We talking about white people?
No,
mostly
because most of the people,
but we have selective, and then going back again.
But that includes black people too, because
yes, it does. Yes, it does. I see. I don't want to. When I see the football player donating to him, and all, the black football player, and all these other people, I don't know our need. It's similar. It reminds me, just like if you look at, I don't know, what is this need that we have to adorn some of these folks. I don't get it, but we do. It's similar to like why a lot of these non-black folks that do average things that we do, they go viral because we make it go viral. We see a white person dancing on beat. We're like sharing it. Hey, you see this person dancing?
They can come to the cookout.
It's and we're inviting everybody to cookout.
That's because
And
we're
they
not.
don't have to
That's
do much
because
of anything.
we're not self focused. So if we, in my
We, we,
opinion,
we're loose focused.
if we were self focused in, if we were, I hate to always go back to that because I know that people hate when I do that. But if we were self focused and if we were so busy focused on us, then a lot of that would not matter. Because I don't think the things that you're saying would change per se, but they wouldn't matter. It's because we not focused on us. So every time something happens, a Charlie Kirk or whoever, and they get a certain, if we were focused on our greatness and we were concentrating our effort on us, a lot of the stuff wouldn't matter. The reason why we're caught up and people are caught up in how people feel about Charlie Kirk, because we're not a monolith and we never will be. But the reason why we're so caught up in that, oh, you have compassion for this person, and everybody's a coon, and everybody's quick to be a coon and a sellout. If we it's because we're not focused on us, and if we focused on us, most of our energy would go inward.
And
Our
some of the
energy
other reason why
is to
why
get
why
out.
we got caught up is because white folks put us in this bullshit. I'm like, hey, bro, this ain't our shit. This is y'all. This is that white
Well,
guy, shot
you
that
know,
white guy. Leave us the fuck alone. We ain't got shit to do with it.
even if so, here's the thing. Even if white people tap black people on the shoulder and said, "Hey, da 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 da," about Charlie Kirk, we like what? You know, we ready to react, and it's cool. I'm not knocking it, but I'm saying that we can't. To your point, the reason why that happens, bro, is that we care so much about what people think about us. We care. We
Yeah.
may not admit it, but we care so much, and that's why we're ready to react. If we didn't care what people think about us, it wouldn't matter as much, in my personal opinion. So that's why I think you see that. Um, I don't think it's that we well, maybe it is. Maybe it is the fact you feel like we want to adorn them and stuff like that. That's
Well,
because we don't have an attitude that we're more. We don't have an inward attitude of we're important. That's why. Go ahead. I don't mean to cut you. Go ahead.
but the white privilege in this country is the fact, like their history is taught as the standard, and our history is taught as an elective.
That's because
So
they have not
they
decided.
automatically expect that just because their hero, for example, is George Washington, he should be my hero too, instead of George Washington Carver.
That's
Like
our choice.
it's
That's
and it's a
our choice to change that. Our choice.
but
Our
the
choice.
expectation, it's the automatic expectation
Whose
that
expectation?
don't you also grieve this guy that lost. You know what? I'm like, no, I'm not celebrating and I'm not grieving because, you know, what I felt he stood for when he was here. I don't feel a loss when I grieve for things that I feel that are a loss to me and or my people. I don't feel a loss because he's no longer here. So I'm not grieving. Black men in particular, we don't have the full autonomy to take a position that's not in line with white men or white folks.
That's
I'm
not
sitting here
true.
like,
That
why?
see, I don't think so. I think that we choose to not take. I'm not talking about you personally.
I
We
know what
as a
you're saying.
group,
Yeah.
choose to not take that position because we're not inward. We're reactory as a group. We love to react and talk about them and focused on them. We are the most offended by who don't like us more than anybody else. Nobody else is more offended and and is focused on who don't like us other than we. So if and again, I'm not saying that we wouldn't have energy in that direction, but I think if we were proud and inward, the expectation of someone else does not matter. What's the expectation of you? What is your expectation, in my opinion, about you? So if my opinion is that in the future, and I've talked like this before, in the future, we need to be inward looking, inward focused. I told people in relation to even black communities, black money is dissipated. It's not focused. Our energy as a group is not focused on us. So if we focused on us, you can never see. It's a never ending battle as far as what you would call white privilege. It's a never ending battle as far as how we're seen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a never ending battle, and you can, if you're not a majority group, the only way to become powerful is to become a concentrated minority group. We are not that. So that's why everything seems really important to us that's exterior, right? But other groups don't function that way. So,
That's
I'm not
true.
saying don't be offended. Of course we're human. We're going to be offended. But we're more offended out by outward than what's inward. And I think that will forever be a challenge until we look at that. And I think that again, Charlie Kirk was inconsequential. I really think he really was. It took to
He
Black life.
was inconsequential. He's not inconsequential anymore.
No, and he won't be forever. This dude,
No,
I'm telling
not
you,
for
this
Black
is.
people.
Yeah.
I think he'll still
Mm-hmm.
be inconsequential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I
Well,
agree. I
well,
just think he's gonna be immortalized.
potentially. I'm sorry, Tony.
Go ahead.
That what you said could be true if the white majority doesn't latch on to the ideologies which he most represented to them, which is white men fight back, to find out whether or not if that's going to be really inconsequential to us or not. Because unfortunately,
Sure. There's a
as we are the minority in this country and in an anti-black society, whether or not his absence or the results that cause his absence is going to end up in the ideals that now is being hoisted. Whether that's going to be inconsequential to us is still to be determined. I
absolutely, but the
Right.
reality is that you have either our lack of inward focus, or you have their focus to destroy, or their focus to we've been a minority.
They've
And
always had that focus to destroy us every time we build inward as well. Roads one ain't the
I
only
know,
one.
but
All right,
yeah,
I'm
I got
sorry.
you. But the problem with our youth, the problem with the millennials and Gen Zs, they can't continue to look back. They're going to have to build again. They're going to have to focus again, because the reality is we're all getting older, and all the younger people, what they're doing is inaction. Because when you look at the younger people, you can't just be angry. You also have to have a plan to look inward, and that's something that I think that is going to be important, because you can't, like y'all said, we can't just be anti this administration. Trump is one administration, um, and
And he's even in
one blip at
charge.
the moment of time. So um, we can go through Obama's. I voted for Obama. We can go through Obama and find flaws. We can go through Biden and find flaws. But I think ultimately, um, we're going to have to start to look more inward, and at the end of the day, look at people like a Kirk as, I mean, if some, like you said, it's to be seen. If there's a
He's a Rush.
concentrated effort,
He's
and
a
I
Rush
see
Limbaugh,
these,
bro. He's a Rush Limbaugh, a less intelligent version of Rush Limbaugh. That's
of course,
all.
yeah,
It's Rush Limbaugh. I take Rush Limbaugh talking points, I put them in the AI, and I come out with new talking points. Like that's the
correct.
essence of Charlie Kirk.
He's nothing
You
new.
just it's nothing new. The challenge I have is looking inwardly at my people who love Donald Trump and give him more credence than they give Barack Obama, who love Donald Trump so much that they'll look at a Charlie Kirk, and this is from people that I know who say that this dude was more important to them as black people. This is real talk than that Dr. King could ever be. Like these are the statements that he's made, and I'm watching even now. I just unfollowed a Christian rapper because he was like, "Yep, it's come out that this dude had a trans girlfriend, a trans boyfriend. This is all the leftist movement." It's not a leftist movement. It's the act of an individual who had an issue and who was trained well under Second Amendment rights to shoot from 200 yards with a bolt rifle.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though, Tony. My thing is that I feel you. I think one of the things I see in our community is that we we have to be a monolith to build together, and that's what kind of scares me a little bit. So for me, I honestly think that you will have people who like Donald Trump, and one of the things that's disturbing to me for Black people is that you know it's almost like you're either Trump or you are Harris, and at the end of the day, you have that in all groups. We feel like we have to be a monolith to build and work together, and at the end of the day, if you're talking about white America, which we always talk about, they're not a monolith either, and they still will come together for the sake of whiteness if they need to, and if that's something that they want to. So I think for Black people, I think we need to start saying to ourselves, and I'm just saying that we need to say, you know what, whether you however the spectrum is of how you feel about Charlie Kirk or Donald Trump or whatever, yeah, it might be disturbing to you. We may not understand it, but we need to put, if we're radical, like you said, Ian, if that's where we're at, or we're uh, community focused, we need to put our focus on us first, and then those political beliefs second. And I think that we have trouble doing that because we're like, well, how can you like that, that person? You know what I'm saying? And I think that the spectrum of liking him or not liking him all comes down to the things that you've heard. And most people haven't. Maybe if everybody did the same research and was presented all the same movie, then that maybe everybody would say, okay, I feel the same way. But unfortunately, we all aren't looking at everything the same way. And that's why you do have the reason why some black people like who they like is because they pick what they like and they discard what they don't like. And that happens with Donald Trump. And the same thing happens. I try to explain to people the same thing happens on the left. People pick what they like about Barack Obama and ignore plenty of things that they don't like. They ignore the fact he went into Libya and they killed Muammar Gaddafi. They ignore that,
Assassinated.
right? They ignore the deportations he did because they like him. I like him. I like the first family. They're the first Black family. Anything they did that doesn't fit my image, I'm just going to ignore. And the same thing. So it
I love
happens on both
them.
sides. It doesn't just happen with Donald Trump. It happens on the left too. So I say that to say that we have to be able to be like, you know what? Okay, cool. You like who you like, but do we have the same goals as a community? And I think that's where I think Black people get tripped up a little bit more than everybody else. I could be wrong, but that's my
I think that's an issue not specific to just Black people with regards to who the political parties that they choose to align with. They become Ray Charles to all the negative stuff within their own party. And
yeah.
for example, if you, I mean, being that you're talking about Black people in particular, I'll say this: if we're if you ask a Black Democrat to list all the racist uh, white, Republicans, they will list you a whole bunch. If you ask a Black Republican to list a whole bunch of racist white Democrats, they'll list you a whole bunch. If you ask a Black Democrat to list racist white Democrats in office, they can't list you any. And the same with the Black Republicans. They become blind to we. The one weakness that I see with Black folks in particular, that whatever subgroup that we get aligned with, whether it's LGBTQ or Democrat or Republican or Christian, Muslim, whatever, we become that first before being Black. We're a gay Black man. We're a Democrat Black man. We are a Muslim Black. We're all these other things first and foremost. That takes precedence and are more important than our Blackness. And that's part of the reason why we don't have. That's part of the reason of the disunity within our communities, and because we have idiots like the Tariq Nasheeds and whatnot out there who I you know destroyed in a debate on his own freaking Twitter thing with his freaking FBA nonsense. and it's something that I gotta say it. He trademarked this shit so he can make fucking money off it, and then black folks are drinking this shit like freaking Reverend Ike water. It's just bullshit. But I hope, brother Kojo, that you're right with regards to Charlie Kirk being inconsequential to black folks in this country. Individually, yes, he's inconsequential to all. We didn't give two shits about anything. But overall, generally, hopefully, it doesn't reawaken making more over the covert racists that's been, just chilling, and now they all woke and they feel like this is their time to fight back. Now, white man must fight back because Charlie Kirk is gone.
Well, you
So
heard it here first. I'm going to tell you that all of that is not going to happen, and it's just talk. That's my opinion. You heard it here first. I
yeah,
think,
they're under a lot of
and
economic strain, like a lot of us in this country, and what white men in particular are doing. They're looking for somebody to blame, and it's everybody but the super wealthy mega billionaires and whatnot.
yep.
As it's the super wealthy folks making $10,000 an hour have convinced the person just getting by with 15 to 25 or whatever an hour that it's the person you know on welfare or struggling with $7.50 an hour is the problem. Somehow they're able to convince the struggling middle class as they sit there. If we use the pizza pie as an analogy, when one super wealthy individual is sitting there with 9 of the 10 slices of pizza and saying, hey, the only reason why you're hungry is because somebody took a bigger slice of that one slice of pizza that's left. And instead of looking at the person sitting there with 9 slices,
Well, but
it's
Ian, that's a great point. But in relation to economics, that's where black people are lost in the wind, because that's a rich poor economic um, perspective as to whether we're talking about capitalism, socialism, communism, whatever the case is. And you know that transcends race. And our thing is that we don't stand on a particular business for us. And I think if we decide, you mentioned Tariq Nasheed, FBA, full Black American, ADOS. I mean, there's plenty
no,
of groups that can
it's foundational Black
excuse me,
America, which
foundational
is
Black American.
fucking
There's so
stupid.
many groups that can divide us, but at the end of the day, I think that the where we come together as Voltron is when we're either scared about potential racism coming back, or we're offended by something someone said and or did, and I think that's fine. But I think that ultimately we need to be as passionate as a group if we decide we were going to be stronger as a group, because the
And for
stronger.
the FBA folks tuning in, I would be defined as FBA as well. And I just think it's fucking nonsense. So I don't want y'all sitting over here or want to hit me up on Instagram talking about what is your lineage? Because motherfucker, my lineage goes back a long ways in this fucking soil in this country. All right. So I would fall under FBA. It's just fucking bullshit. All right. Pardon,
Well,
I still speak Marine Corps French, so I
I can
apologize for
tell.
all those listening. Which like with like the gentle ears, I apologize.
Well, you
I,
know what?
I
I've kept you
totally
guys a
don't.
long time,
Yeah.
and this
Can I
is,
just say one thing?
of
Can I just
course.
say one thing? Okay.
Well,
I really don't think race would be an issue with a lot of these topics if us as a people had our shit together. Our education scores are low. We're killing each other. We don't have a nuclear family. If we had all of our shit together, I don't think race would even be a part of the discussion. We wouldn't really care about what other people are saying about us and the rights or the policies changing and they're taking away things, like, because we will be functioning better in our own community. So it wouldn't even matter. So that just goes to your point, babe. If we focus more on establishing our families, having that nuclear family, getting our educational system where it needs to be for our young folk, none of this would even matter.
I totally agree with her. I
I
agree.
agree too,
I agree.
and babe, while we're on
I
that
agree.
topic, babe, I'm just having fun with Faith because I love it. I always hashtag Black Love with y'all too, and you and I both smiled at the same time when she started kicking babe, and you and I looked because you knew I was going to say something with
Looking
that,
at my face.
but it's cute. I love it. I love it. I am so pro black in love with hashtag Black Love that y'all two represent and keep doing what y'all do all day, every day. And happy belated anniversary as well. Am I right? Did y'all not have another anniversary?
That was like 4
Man,
months ago. What? All
I
good.
but thank
See,
you.
listen,
Oh,
man.
y'all did something. Y'all was
We'll receive it.
maybe y'all was just having a good holiday weekend or a trip that y'all did, and I just thought
They
whatever.
just got the everyday anniversary vibe. That's
Every
all.
day
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
anniversary.
yeah,
There
yeah,
you
yeah.
I
go.
love it. I love it.
That's a
If
fact.
I can share my
Well,
I
closing
love
thoughts
it.
real quick.
Tony and Yah,
So
any last thoughts?
My closing thoughts, and I hear Sister Faith, and I want to believe that, and I want to walk in that. I really do. But I just want to say, when we do that, when we go to the bank to get that loan, and then we don't find out until 2 years later that even the loan that we're given is different from the loan that the other side gets, and the impact of that loan that we take. I'm not saying we don't bear responsibility. All I'm saying is the field is never the same for us. I'll share one story though, because I totally, because I think some of your talking points are some things that Charlie Kirk has honestly shared, and maybe not those directly, but in essence, so I heard somebody say the problem is y'all think about white people, and white people don't think about y'all that much until crisis time like now. But I remember Osu, y'all remember my old crew. I invited them over. It was 6 of them. I invited them over. I ain't gonna throw names out there. It was 1990, I think 5 or 6. I invited them over. I said, guys, I want to start learning about investing. Let's get together and put $50 a check together and let's just build something. And all my homies laughed at me. And I got so furious. All the food I bought, I just tossed it upside down and I kicked everybody out. My problem was I let that moment break me and I didn't do it for myself.
Mhm.
Mhm.
A few years ago, my boy was like, dude, remember that time you brought us together at your crib in Midlothian? Man, I wish we would have listened to you back then. I said, no, I wish I would have listened to me back then.
Mhm.
So when we do try, it's the opposition. My problem was I internalized their actions like my idea was dumb, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have the mentoring, the skill set, the intelligence, and the capabilities to know how to pull all that off. So I 100% agree with you. Until
Mm-hmm.
we start doing for ourselves. And when I was with a group of Nigerians in Texas at a cybersecurity conference, they were like, Tony, I'm just going to tell you what we think about Black Americans. And they were unfiltered. I'm talking to a woman from Nigeria who had 5 degrees. She was like, the problem with you all Black Americans is you all let your kids choose what they gonna get into. We don't play that stuff where I come from. You do exactly what your parents tell you and expect you to do. And if you don't, you can expect a heavy disconnection from the family for doing it. And I've actually seen that play out.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, I never knew I was a minority until I came to America. I never knew I was Black until I came to America, but she still couldn't see the disconnect of what we have gone through here versus her being from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I'm getting the same thing from all of them. There was a guy there who his dad was like, so I talked to your mom. I am not paying for your college. I paid for my own college. You pay for your college. He said his dad is a multimillionaire in Nigeria. He said his dad was like, I'll help you, but you have to do all the work. He was just like, so he felt broken by that because he like, I'm your son. He was like, nope, my father did it to me. I'm doing it to you. He said, but it taught him resilience. It taught him how to do for self. But the challenge, he said, it also taught him how to be selfish and not look out for anybody else. So I think there are challenges on both sides. But I agree 100% what you said, bro. If we do for self and can unite, we could go so much further. And that's what I try to do with the influence that I have in the lives of our young people. So we don't have to go to a bank for a loan. We've built such a great relationship with one another, and we've built a consortium where if we need something, we come to the table in the Black consortium, in the African Black consortium, and we lean on each other. Well, we can do this. We would do this, but Tony, you haven't paid into your part of the consortium for 3 months. So we actually want to help you, but we can't because you did not follow the agreement. Now, the next person that, oh, Sue, you've been paying into the consortium. You need this loan. The consortium, we've written up a legal contract because the consortium has to be paid back. I think when we get to a place where we can start doing things like that for self, I don't care when Charlie Kirk says you're DEI. I don't care.
Won't have
Steve
time to
Miller
worry
says we're getting rid of critical race theory. I don't care. My wife teaches African American history online to other students. We're going to get critical race theory taught to our kids one way or the other. It doesn't have to be in your institution. So I agree. The more we start focusing on community, we will care less about what other people have to say. Those are my thoughts.
Love
I agree.
twin Fonda, and then I'm gonna lay a quick little final thought. I didn't held y'all.
Real quick, the only thing I hope really comes out of this is I just want our people and our children to be safe right now. The political climate right now is very volatile, and we have seen a lot of random attacks on Black folks over the last several years for things lesser than this. And unfortunately, this has galvanized certain groups to blame Black folks for this issue, though we have nothing to do with it. And I'm just really hoping that that there are people out there who will do the right thing, that will, if they see something, know something, that they will say something, that they will not participate in undeserving, unprovoked attacks on innocent people, especially children. It's just been happening entirely too much, and there are a lot of factions out there who are looking for any excuse to, you know, some reason to do something that they've probably been already thinking about doing anyway. And I just pray that people will not use this as just another reason to attack elderly Black people in the grocery store or start stabbing people at Black folks at Walmart, minorities at Walmart, or running people down in crowds. We've just seen so many so much racial violence happening, and I really, just want to tell people, look, be safe, be vigilant, and for anyone who thinks that this cannot happen, there's a lot of grieving parents who will say otherwise.
Okay.
So,
Fonda, what's your final thought?
I really don't have anything too much to say. I'm glad that I came on here tonight to listen to everyone's perspective in terms of uh, Charlie Kirk, and it was good to hear all of you guys, to hear um all of you guys' views. So yeah.
Well, I so appreciate it. I would say, I echo that too. I love this is great. I enjoy this. I enjoy conversations and everybody's different perspectives, and I think that's by far the most important thing is people need to talk and to not expect a monolith amongst people. I think at the end of the day, if we don't talk, then the one thing Charlie Kirk did say that was actually true. I wouldn't say it was profound, but it was true. If we don't talk, then that's when violence happens. So we do have to talk to each other. Um, and I do think that again, his Charlie Kirk in and of itself to me is not a really important figure. Prior to September 10th, Charlie Kirk was not a big person in my mind. But I do think that just echoing the point that I made and we've all talked about it, I think that going forward, I do hope that nothing happens to black people. I don't actually think anything will happen substantially from, as far as white supremacy to black people. But it's always possible. We do have a tremendous amount of violence and murder that's happening. And Skull, obviously you know this. Chicago, just an example, and that's not counting Baltimore, Memphis, St. Louis. Um, we've been talking about crime and murder rate and violent crime, and we have a tremendous amount of violence and murder amongst ourselves. It doesn't negate, it doesn't justify anything racial, minus all the racial shit, minus how anybody else feels about us internally. We have a lot of death going on simply in our own neighborhoods. That's the
Mhm.
numbers are crazy. And I think we need to be alarmed and aware of that just as much. Because if if we're talking about what white supremacists may do to us, and we have 58 shootings in 3 days. This is in Illinois. 58 shootings in 3 days is a lot. That's a lot of shootings in 3 days. Um, in my opinion, they act like, 573 murders, all crime is down. 573 murders is a lot. And I know that they want to keep telling you, Chicago's not the top because they want to do per capita per 100,000. But if you look at the murders, and I've gone through the list, if you go through the murders, they're happening in a concentrated area. Chicago's 2.7 million people, but if you look at the violence and the death, it's happening concentrated. So at the end of the day, I'm just as alarmed when I look at black mothers, black fathers, sisters, brothers crying about losing people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care who they're losing. I don't care who's killing them. The fact is that they are dying, and we are extremely silent and so used to that stuff internally. We don't even say anything half the time. Where there's no outrage.
Mm.
All people are sitting here arguing, "Oh, crime is down, crime is down, crime is down." Why doesn't Trump go to Memphis? It turns out they going to Memphis. But at the end of the day, for me, if black lives and losing black lives is a big deal to us, we need to not just worry about white people taking black lives. We should worry about us taking black lives. We
100.
should we
Oh
we need to be
yes.
we need to be extremely, and what I'm saying, I'm extremely concerned about that, because at the end of the day, our kids might not just die at some white supremacist hands, or some white
My
person, white
nephew didn't.
nationalist.
My nephew didn't.
You know what I'm saying?
He was killed
So
outside of his house in Arizona.
literally,
Mm.
literally. So I hope that we, again, take the opportunity to keep looking inward. And that's not a popular thing amongst us as a group, to look inward, because what's scary to me, and the reason why I wanted to bring up this whole conversation about this whole conservative liberal thing, is that I think that internally, and I could be wrong, I think internally we've gotten to a point where we can't have conversation. The conversations inwardly have become extremely taboo, and they're now being they become to a point where we can't have these conversations. Not us, but we can't have these conversations because it's like, nah, that's anti-black, or you're focused on the worst of us, and and I'm like, yo, that's a dangerous place because issues are still there. Cancers don't just go away by avoiding them. They don't go away by looking at something else. You know what I'm saying? So if there's a cancer there in a certain area, we can't just be like, well, my foot hurts, I'm gonna focus on my foot. That's not gonna make the cancer go away either. So I think that we should take this opportunity to look internally, and don't celebrate anybody who doesn't love us. I agree with that. Don't celebrate it. I don't think anybody should celebrate people who don't love us. Um, Make your own decision about Charlie Kirk. At the end of the day, he's just one person. Um, but I think for us, I think that going forward, hopefully we'll continue to have these conversations. I appreciate everybody.